Hey, I'm Nick Hawks with 𝐸 doing a quick run through of some of the most frequently asked questions I've been seeing lately. It is June 30th, 2022, so this is kind of what is going on right now. I get asked a lot, what sensor should I buy to onboard onto the network? And I think there's two great sensors to start with. One is the 𝐿HT65, which is a temperature and humidity sensor. Really easy to use, really easy to onboard. I wouldn't expect to do a ton of stuff with it. It'll tell you the temperature and the humidity. But it's a great way to get an entry into how the Helium network works, as far as sensor through to gateway, through to what you see on console, and then how you're going to display that information. So 𝐿HT65. The other one is just get the WIO field terminal. 𝐶ED's got a great deal on those, and build yourself a mapper. Not only will you be figuring out how to use the Helium network, you'll also be contributing to the Helium network, which is pretty cool because you'll be mapping coverage. So that is number one. Number two is, this is another question that I see, are some kind of variant on, hey, is this new blockchain and meat space project, whether it's WeatherXM or GeoNet or Helium or PlanetWatch or whatever it is it risky? Like, how do you know you're going to make any money on it? Is it RevoFi? Like, whatever it is, how do you know you're going to make money on it? The answer is you don't. All of these would be considered super high risk. None of them should be embarked upon with a plan of like, hey, I'm just going to sit back and let these things earn and pay my mortgage on it. You might pay your house off on it totally, but I think it's equally likely that you will not. And so the way I would approach these from this kind of financial perspective, and yeah, this is financial advice, is do not spend anything that you are not willing to lose. If you can't buy, let's say, a WeatherXM station, so whatever, $400, if you can't buy that $400 and still not be able to make a mortgage payment, or can't put food on your table or feed your kids or do anything that you want to do, or even buy a cup of coffee, right? If spending that money stops any of those other things, don't do it. Right? The reason to do this is that you have the money to spend on it. You're okay with losing it. I would consider all of these high risk, and you're curious about this world. This world of blockchain and meat space is pretty darn new. Probably only in the last 2 years has it really gone crazy, and we're starting to see what it can drive, and especially the tokenization of blockchain and meat space. So still pretty Wild West days. Do not bet anything you're not willing to lose on any of these projects, right? Just because you see me or another YouTuber or a blogger or the project itself say, hey, this thing is awesome, it's going to change the industry. It might, but it might not. So don't believe anything that, this thing is going to buy you a Lambo, right? So that's kind of the risk factor. Number three, how do I build a mapper? I will put a link down in the description to referencing how to build a mapper using the mapper that I referenced earlier, so the WIO field terminal. Paul at Disk91 has done a great job of laying out exactly how to do that. In fact, he's got a video on the 𝐶ED site on how to do that. It is pretty straightforward. Don't be afraid. Plenty of other people have done it. You don't have to be any kind of geek. You just need to be able to buy parts off the internet and put them together. Nothing ultra crazy. That's a super easy one. Okay, last question that I see all the time is, does 5G mean that LoRa is dead? No, that comes from a misreading of information put out by Helium by a bunch of fairly popular folks who just didn't understand what they were looking at and spread misinformation about what 5G is, what it will be, what LoRa is, and what LoRa will be. I've done other videos on this and how the pie gets broken down. The big thing is LoRa is not going to drop rewards to only 1.2% of all helium emitted. For the foreseeable future, it's going to remain 80 to 90, maybe 98% of all rewards will go to LoRa until 5G comes online. Once it does, then 5G will start to nibble into and take part of that pie for itself, which is how it should be. That's how these DNPs, or decentralized network protocols, are designed to work. So everything is kind of working the way we want it to. And when I say we, I mean the community. I am not an employee of Helium. I'm not an employee of Nova. I'm not an employee of the Helium Foundation. None of those things. I'm just out here kind of rolling on my own, explaining this stuff to you as fast as I can understand it. So big takeaway there is, no, 5G is not the death of LoRa. 5G is actually the expansion of the ability of the network to work in more and more wireless protocols. Basically, the pie is getting bigger and bigger as far as what we can do. All right, not the HNT pie, that's going to stay the same size or have every 2 years, but the ability for this kind of thing to be rolled out across a ton of different networks, whether they're CDNs, content delivery networks, or VPNs, or Wi-Fi, or LoRa, what we've all seen, or 5G. That thing is just getting bigger and bigger, and to me, that's a really good sign. The last thing I'll leave you with is you may be adrift in this kind of sea of information that is out there. There's a lot of places to get information, and not all of them are good places for you. They're not good for your psyche, depending on what you're looking for. And I wanted to invite you, if you're looking for somewhere positive, if you're looking to be surrounded by a bunch of folks who are positive, who are really smart, and who are curious, and who are into this world, you don't have to explain blockchain to them. You don't have to explain blockchain and meat space to them. And you can present your ideas or listen to their ideas be presented. I would say consider joining the Gristle Crew. The Gristle Crew is my personal crew. It's a membership that you buy into. It is not the kind of general public, so a lot of people get mistaken about that. They're like, oh, I'm listening to the Gristle Crew. Unless you're in the weekly Zoom calls, unless you paid your membership fee and you're on the inside of that stuff, you're not getting the full value of that information. Once you do, you get access to the weekly Zoom calls. We've got someone different almost every week. On the weeks we don't, we've got a really good, lively group discussion on what's going on in Helium. If you are serious about growing in this whole space, I don't think there's a better place out there to do it. Okay, that's my pitch for the Gristle Crew. I'll leave you with, it's not for everybody, right? If you are the person who just wants to bitch about what's going on or just complain that your rewards are down, do not join the Gristle Crew. Don't waste your money. But if you're the person who does want to grow, who wants to find new projects faster than anyone else out there, who wants to be a part of a group that is constantly looking for and assessing new projects, and who is critically but positively checking out projects, whether it's Helium, something new in Helium like HIP 51, HIP 52, HIP 53, or it's a totally new project, it's a fantastic group to be a part of. So that is what is going on in the world of the Gristle King. Invite you to come along to the Gristle Crew, or at least check out anything on the blog. There is a wealth of free information out there as well, if paying for info is not your style. All right, rock on, have a fantastic week. Ciao, ciao.